Good morning, Plano Photography Club. My name is Omar Ramos. I'm a professional photographer here in Dallas. I've been a professional photographer since 1984. I really love what I do. I'm so excited to be a part of this process and allowing me to look at your wonderful photos and just share what I think is, in my opinion, what's an excellent photo. But I believe that all the photos that were submitted for this contest were all great. And let's begin. Well, this month's contest is photojournalism. And based on the Photographic Society of America's definition, the photojournalism entry shot consists of images or sequences of images with informative content and emotional impact, including human interest, documentary, and spot news. The journalist's value of the image shall receive priority over the pictorial quality. In the interest of credibility, images that misrepresent the truth and modeled or staged setups are not permitted. I also want us to be aware of another definition called candid. A candid photograph is a photograph captured through motion, mostly without creating a posed appearance. This is achieved by avoiding prior preparation of the subject and by either surprising the subject or by not distracting the subject during the process of taking photos. During the review of all the photos, you may hear me use the word candid. And I'm not trying to belittle or diminish the act of the photo itself, but there's a big difference between a candid shot and a photojournalistic shot. With a candid, I kind of term that as something that you can either capture with your cell phone or something that is not common to any kind of photographic technique or lighting or positioning or cropping. It's just you're there, you have a second to snap an image, and you took it. With photojournalism, I believe, my definition is also a planned event. You're going to an event or you're covering an event, and your job is to represent the story in images so that the reader who is looking at the images can tell what is going on. So you may hear photojournalism and you may hear the word candid. Let's begin. First image in the beginner's class is Cowboy Clown. Very good composed photo. Obviously on location, doesn't look like it's staged. Again, this is one of those gray area images where it could be considered a candid shot. Nothing particularly storytelling about it. It's just an individual dressed up in a clown outfit getting ready to perform at a party. The next image is the Irish dance. Obviously, it looks like a very lovely dance recital. Someone sitting in the front row, flash photography. It's a good shot. It's, again, another situation where it doesn't differentiate a story more than just a candid photo of an event. The next image is Coming and Going. Really enjoy this image. It reminds me of where I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. The old tenement building, obviously it looks like in the inner city. I really like this image. I like the composition. It's not as specifically strong photographically, but I do like the colors, and it did grab my attention. Our next photo is Angst and Comfort. This is a very nice photo. It's very nicely lit and composed, but this is a portrait. I don't really consider this a photojournalistic style image. It may have been considered more if it was cropped a little differently and if the subjects were in a different pose. This just looks a little too staged for me, and to see that there was some retouching done. Again, this is a beautiful portrait. As a portrait photographer, I kind of know what I'm talking about, but as far as what I'm trying to get out of the story, it's not something that I would consider photojournalistic style. Our next photo is honoring the 3417 casualties from Texas. Very dramatic photo of all the dog tags and very impactful. Photographically, it's almost looks like a point and shoot type of lighting. Nothing really dramatic as far as the exposure. It's a little bit underexposed, but as far as the subject is concerned, I think it's really strong and does grab you emotionally. Might be a better shot if it was done in black and white and cropped a little bit tighter. That will be my only true comments on this image, but a very good shot. Our next image is placing a prayer in the Western Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. Again, another impactful image. Just love the shot of seeing all the notes that are being put into the wall. This shot probably would have been also done more justice if it was actually expanded and not cropped so tight. I think the impact of seeing so many people at the wall would have drawn the viewer into the subjects. But overall, this is a right on point with the subject matter at hand. Our next image is a miracle born early, 2-pound, 13-ounce girl. Well, the photo says it all. This is a very impactful image. Emotionally, you're drawn into it, to seeing this infant child reach and hold that finger. It's everything you want in a photojournalistic story. My only issues with the image is just it's photographically. The exposure of the baby is overblown. He or she is washed out. But other than that, it's a very impactful photo. This is something I would see in a newspaper or in a magazine. Good job. Our next photo is We Miss You. Another impactful photo. The reader will be drawn into these two young men looking at the memorial. I'm nitpicking. It's only because all these photos are very good. But I would like to have seen this as a black and white and maybe cropped a little bit differently, maybe tighter. But other than that, good job. We come up to our next photo, which is smoking in Madrid. This photo just cracks me up. I just cannot believe what I'm seeing, that in today's time that these little kids are smoking cigarettes. My mother would have killed me. Great photo, tells an incredible story right there. Everything about this image I enjoy. Nitpicking, I'm not a big fan of flash photography. If you're using flash photography, kind of minimize the hot spots as much as you can. But other than that, I think you captured a moment that just makes me scratch my head. Good job. This is our third place photo. A fresh fish auction on the beach in Nazarene, Portugal. Photographer Randy Ratzleff. Randy, I love this image. I can't tell when you shot it. It could look like it was from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, or today's time, but I just love it. It just kind of gives me a very nostalgic feeling, just to see how the marketplace is in other countries and the intensity of the audience there. They're looking at this auctioneer like this is the most important thing of the day. So great image, everything about it composed correctly, color, the fish on the table. Again, congratulations for your third place finish. Our second place photo is Cantwell Cracks Bat. Photographer Aaron Lesher. Basically, it's a perfect photo. Composition, caught the action in place. This is a sports image, talking about a sports story. Can't really say anything to distract from the image. It's done very well. If this was in a magazine or a newspaper right now, I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, for our first place photo, New York City statue by Vincent Carroll. I just love this photo. It's very odd. As you already know, I enjoy black and white. The woman down at the bottom just captures me. The perplexed look of the reporters, of the people that are there, tells a unique story. It looks like a reproduction of a printed piece, but Vincent, really good job. I enjoyed looking at this photo a few times, so congratulations on your first place. Now on to our intermediate category. We start with photo concert in Apple Orchard. My first impression of this photo is really the quality is not up to par. Sharpness, composition of it, and the colors does not draw the viewer into the image. It's a good snapshot, candid, but this image doesn't really represent what I would consider a photo that I would submit to a contest. Our next photo is Taming the Local Longhorns at Local Heritage Festival. Very nice picture of a young person on a longhorn, something I would send to my grandparents. A little underexposed. I would have centered the longhorn a little bit better instead of off to the right. So everything else is a little distracting. But, it's a good snapshot, candid photo. I wouldn't consider this, again, a photojournalistic style image, but overall, very pleasant image. Our next photo is Dallas Alzheimer Walk, image of three young people sitting on a bench holding a port. Very pleasant portrait. Looks a little retouched, maybe a little overly retouched. Nice color intention, good composition. But again, I think it's more of a candid portrait than a photojournalistic image. I apologize if I'm being a little critical. It's just that I think we get better if we understand what direction we should go in, and as a portrait or something as a candid, I think this is a perfect photo. Next photo is First Kiss. Very nice young man looks like he's kissing and then trying to take a chunk out of the snowman. It probably would have been nicer just to have one of the image instead of having two of the images composed, because it could have been a really nice story talking about the snowstorm, the heavy snow that we had. Good image, but I think you lost a lot of the tension with putting both of them up on one. So I would have separated the images and just picked one of the two as your leading photo. Our next photo is Sports Car Rally. Here's a portrait of a beautiful car. And I say portrait because that's all you can really attain. It's a very nice vehicle, good color, nicely placed, but it doesn't really tell me a story. All I know is it's a nice car in the street. So based on the title, the viewer would want to know the event, not just having a nice image. I would reconsider this for more of a still life portrait category than a photojournalistic category. Here's our next photo called Puzzled. I like this image. The composition's a little too tight. I believe if you would have backed up a lot more and got more of the street in front of her, or maybe use a wide-angle lens, it would have had a more dramatic feel. The grain does get to me. I'm not sure if you're shooting this at night or you have a camera that can't capture high ISO. All in all, it's going in the right direction. I think this is something you can build upon, work on the composition, and try to frame your story a little bit better, but I think you're on the right path with this photo. Our next image is We're Married couple and celebration around them. Looks like you use HDR on this image. I do like the color, the vibrancy of it, but I think one of the things we were trying to avoid in this category was heavy retouching or use of software to enhance your image. But all in all, it's in the right direction. Weddings and photojournalism actually kind of are hand in hand because you are capturing an event and telling a story. So as a wedding photographer, you really are doing your very best in capturing moments that cannot be recreated. So very good image. I would have not used the HDR filter on it, but good job. Our next image is Veracruz Dancers, and it's a very nice tight shot of couple dancing. It's nicely framed, very tight. Captured the action. There's no blurriness, no softness to it. Good colors, good capture. I think you're in the right direction with this image, and good job. Okay, our next image is A Good Turnout, 2014 Alzheimer Walk. I really like this image. It tells a story right there. It's a very good composition, a good capture. I guess my main criticism is I could see that the color is maybe too vibrant, and I think there's some Photoshop involved in it. So you want to trust your camera. You want to be able to not overdo any retouching or Photoshop or try to enhance your images because it takes away. Sometimes a gritty photo is all it really is necessary, and it tells a good story there. This next photo, Coit in Spring Creek. This is news in action. This photographer was right there at the scene, captured everything that was going on. It really tells the story right there. This is what a news photographer does. Probably would have scored higher in my ranking if you got into the image where you can actually see the victim's face. The best news photographers in the world are not afraid of confrontation. They're not afraid of getting an image that is going to shock or is going to tell a story, is going to grab you. It's invasive, it's almost arrogance, but you're in the right path with this image. If you would have gone to your left and got more of the victim's face or the reaction from the police or EMS people that were working on the victim, it would have made a more dramatic photo. Here's our next photo, gymnastic competition. Love it. Really good shot. Captured the action in motion. Framed very, very well. Vibrant. Tells the story. Again, being nitpicky, I'm sorry. I do see some retouching involved in the photo. If this was part of the requirements of not to use, this would not have probably made it into a newspaper or magazine. See, try some sharpening there. But, there are times where if you have an image that has a lot of noise and it just can't get it super sharp, I wouldn't try to over manipulate the photos. Sometimes it's just going to be good enough. Okay, here's our next image, Lady Liberty. This image has to be one of my favorites. It's an honorable mention. I love this composition. It's a great image. It tells a lot of different stories. It leads me to my imagination, liberty, justice, all that. I'm a New Yorker. This brings me home. I love the rust that's being shown on Lady Liberty, the colors. It's just evokes a lot of different emotions for me. Congratulations. Okay, here's our third place winner. Woman and chicken watch passing traffic in St. Thomas. The photographer is Valerie Johnson. I really, really like this image. Of course, you have the photographer judge here that enjoys black and white. This image was composed perfectly. The tones, the richness of the black and white, perfectly done. Obviously, the woman on the chair and the chicken staring at the same direction at the same time. That's a 1 in 10 million shot. So, in my opinion, you should print this, frame it, and sell it. It's a great photo. Congratulations, Valerie, for your third place finish. And our second place winner is Holiday at the National Cemetery, photographed by Brian Zumbar. Composed perfectly. The image is powerful. It draws you right into from the first tombstone all the way to the very end. Very emotional. I know this invokes emotion to many people. I think this is another photo that you print and frame and hang on a wall. I should be very proud of this photo, Brian. Okay, last but not least, our first place image, The Fall of Number 5, photographed by Jim Walsh. This is an incredible image, once in a lifetime photo. The composition, the stop action, the clarity, it's not overly done and retouching. The colors are on point. This is a photo that I would have definitely seen in Sports Illustrated or the back page of the morning news. A very good job, excellent job, Jim. Congratulations on your first place. Okay, here we go to our advanced category. So our first photo is I am going where I will be loved, an ad from a bus stop at Budapest. Actually, it's a great photo. There's nothing you could say wrong about this image. It's a snapshot of a snapshot. So, my opinion is, again, the subject matter is a story or something that's going to capture me, something behind what you're photographing. Next photo is Murphy's Law, not factual today. It's okay. It's a good photo. It's framed correctly. It wouldn't be something that I would put in a major newspaper or magazine. The photo is a little on the soft side and a little underexposed. Other than that, it's a good photo, good image, good sports image. Tells the story effectively, and that's what we're looking for. Okay, our next photo is Snow on the Slopes in Little Elm. And it's a photo of, a worker blowing snow. It's not very engaging. The suggestion I would have had was to go in front of the worker and have the snow shooting at the camera. So that would have been more impactful. Here it's a little bit more on the snapshot kind of side. We need to be more engaged and more into what the story is and frame the photo so that the viewer is involved in the image. This next photo is called Congratulatory Fist Pump. Very nice picture, smiling the little boy, the little girl looking over, and it's really a good framed image. Color is a little on the weird side, kind of greenish yellow. Maybe when you have some color issues, my suggestion is always to go black and white. If you can't get the color right, make the image black and white. You won't lose the attention of the viewer. Here's our next photo, morning exercise in China. I really like this photo. It's very nicely framed. Photographically, it's perfect. The lighting, the exposure, the framing of this composition of this image is really well done. The only criticism I would have is because of her hand in front of her face, it is distracting. I'd rather have the person behind her being blocked than the actual person in front and seeing her face. Our next photo is Jockey and Mount. Very nicely done, crisp, clean, nothing really wrong with this photo. It's not an exciting photo, but it is a good photo. Colors are great, they're popping, not overly done in Photoshop. It's a good job, but it's just not a very engaging photo for me. But other than that, I mean, there's really not much to complain about this image. It's pretty spot on. Okay, our next photo is The Painter. It's a lovely landscape image of a paint setup, and the artist is painting the house in the background. Very detailed, very sharp image. The only issue I would have with this photo is the actual painting is kind of lost in the shadows. So it's very hard to pick up. It doesn't really stand out. The landscape stands out. It's a great landscape photo, but if you're trying to tell the story of the painting, I would have tried to have that area illuminated just enough so that the painting could separate itself from the foreground. This photo, skydiving at the Plano Balloon Festival. I really like this image. The fact that the skydiver is silhouette and the flag is illuminated and the parachute is illuminated. I really like that contrast, the colors, very vibrant, very well composed. So it's a really impactful image. Really enjoyed this. But again, honorable mention for skydiving at the Plano Balloon Festival. Here's our third place winner, Junior Ranger. Great photo, almost a Norman Rockwell kind of image for me. I just love the simplicity of it, the cleanness, the clarity of it, the innocence of it. There's a lot of just goodness out of this photo. The young man is just excited. The ranger is trying to be as official as possible. It really tells a great story about this young man and his journey to becoming a junior ranger. Congratulations to Jim Spencer, third place finish, junior ranger. Here's our second place winner, Desperation Strait of Gibraltar. Photographer is Jerry Schlesinger. There's Desperation at Sea. Here is a great story. Could lead into so many different directions. I don't know if there's a shipwreck or they may be refugees, but just the vastness of this group of people in the middle of this ocean is just engaging. Everything you want in a photo for a magazine story or a newspaper story. Very, very well done. Great composition. It tells a lot of the scenario where these people are finding themselves in. Here's our first place winner. Photo's called Thank You by Don Champlin. I love this image. There's so much to be said. Number one, you engage the subject. You're not misleading us. We're seeing her face. We're seeing the hands. Very well composed. The photo is taken very well. The sharpness, the detail, the use of black and white. Again, this is something I would see at a museum or in a magazine. Really well done. Congratulations on your first place. This is one of my favorites of the whole group. We are now in our master category. Everyone loves a parade. There's a lot of different angles or different ways we could have made this photo more compelling. There's a little boy right behind the carriage. Looks like he's actually leading the parade. I would have done my shot from that point of view. Just the human interest story of this young man leading the march would have gravitated all of us to this image. You're wanting to engage our viewers to this image and the story behind it. Okay, our next photo is Home Away from Home. Very nicely done. Architectural photo perspective is well done. The lines are correct. Didn't draw me in as a photojournalistic style photo. If there was maybe someone standing by the window or the door, it would have told the story Home Away from Home. Photographically well done, but as a photojournalistic style image, I don't think it hits that mark. Okay, here's our next photo. Down with the past, up with the future. Pretty straightforward, not very dramatic. The colors are a little bit flat. There's some grain working in there, which is kind of hard to believe if you're shooting in the daytime, but I'm not sure what time of day you're photographing this. I might have chosen a different angle, maybe the angle where the crane is knocking down the debris a little bit tighter. And it's just an image that I'm not really gravitating to. It does tell the story of what's going on. Okay, here's our next photo, Winning Smile. It's a jockey with a grin from ear to ear. Photo's a little underexposed, but composition is well done. I see a little Photoshop work on it to try to sharpen the horse in the jockey's face. But other than that, I mean, it's a good shot. Well done. Here's our next image, Chef Pete's Bangers and Mash. The expression of the chef is pretty funny. I like the fact that it's a black and white image. My criticism would be I would have zoomed in more to the chef and just see his perplexed look. He looks like he's trying to engage the customers there. It's just a lot of things going on with the mirror on top and the head in the middle of the shot. So I would have shot a little tighter, got cropped in a little bit more. Okay, our next image is Avocado Seller, San Salvador Market. This is a young lady. Looks like she is very bored and wished to be doing something different. It's a well-composed image. The color correction looks a little off. She looks too orangey. But other than that, it's not a very dramatic photo. It's an image that you just pause and like, oh, what she's doing. It's a pretty good image, cropped well. Content is okay. Hanging out at La Rendez Vos de Amis. The image is very nicely done, exposure, composition, but the story for me is the guy on the table or the man on the window. So the man at the window is looking at the photographer, so that would have been a really good shot. The other side of it is the guy sitting at the table. If it would have cropped in a little tighter and focused on him. It's not a bad image. It's a little busy. You got kind of two different things going on. It would have won more points for me if you would have focused one or the other. Our next image is Villagers Entertain Neighbors with an Amateur Play. Very well done. Got some action there. I believe that's a mouse in her hand and a sheep head on the table, a lamb's head. There's a lot going on with this photo, but the expression of the actors, the lighting, composition, color, one of the better ones I've seen. Definitely a good shot. My next image is Defending Old Glory, Fort McHenry. Love the color, composition, flag. The two soldiers look like they're taking a break or goofing around and hoping they're not shooting you. Very nicely done. Just a little dark on the soldiers themselves, but really that's just very minor. It's a great photo, something I would print and frame. Mending the Nets, Lake Victoria. I really like this photo. The pose, the beach, the net, the rough hands, the tool that's in his hand, the stare, the glare to the photographer. Very well done image, great composition. It would have been pretty cool to see it in black and white, or maybe even focus on his hands just to see how rough and worn his hands are on that fishing net. But you didn't go wrong with this photo. It's a really good image. Here's our next image, Life in the City Alley. Very strong black and white photo. I see different dimensions to this image where I could have shot this almost 3 different ways. The photographer chose a more of a panoramic, large view of this image, but I would have focused on the guy that was sitting on the cart. He looks engaged at the photographer, and you could have made a connection there. The image would have been even more dramatic. The guy sitting on the bucket with the hat on, that's a really cool image there. So there's so many elements here where you could have had maybe 3 or 4 different types of photos. I really like this photo. Okay, here is our top 4 images of this category. Honorable mention, crash landing and nobody got hurt. It's dramatic. You captured the entire scene. I really like the old school police car that's behind the plane. It makes it feel like this photo was taken in the 70s. And then you have the gentleman in the bandana and the people on the side. So this is a news story, photojournalistic image. Great job. Our third place photo is Checkmate, photographer John Lehman. Again, a Norman Rockwell style image. Really enjoyed this type of photo of an older grandpa and a young man playing chess, posed excellently. It just tells a wonderful story, a good human interest story that I could see in the Sunday newspaper. Congratulations, John. Great image. Here's our second place winner, The Cowboy Way by photographer Dennis Fritz. Really good image. Just everything about this photo tells me about the cowboy way of living. The young man and his cowboy outfit, perfect rendition, the hat, the spatula, the spoon, yes, the glow, sunlight. I probably would have been tempted to crop into the photo and just have the young man and his expression. There's just so many different ways this image could have been portrayed. One of my favorites out of the group. Congratulations, Dennis. And our first place in the Masters category is Ride 'em Cowboy by Larry Peterborg. Perfect photo. Everything about this image is gravitating to the horse and the rider, but everyone in the background is just engaged. It's sharp, clear, tells the story right off the bat. Very well done photograph. Would be a great master print. Again, one of the images I would publish in a book or a magazine. Congratulations to Larry on your first place Masters category. And here is our best in show, The Fall of Number 5. Congratulations, Jim Walsh, for capturing a 1 in a million photograph. If you ever print this, I would like to have a copy. Thank you again to the Plano Photography Club. You guys are creating an atmosphere of the love of photography in the North Texas area. Please let me know if I can be a part of it and help you guys in any way. Thank you again for allowing me to be a part of this process. Take care and have a good night.